It is time to take your strumming up to the next level, and to do that we're going to cover something called the constant strumming technique. And it may sound really technical or out there, but you're already doing this. It's just a matter of taking it and applying it and realize you're doing it to get your strumming to the level where you can start figuring out strumming patterns for yourself and making up your own strumming patterns. Before we get into this, you can head over to natesavage.com and pick up the Guitar Foundations ebook if you want to, so you can follow along with the examples. You can also schedule a private lesson with me there if you feel like you need the extra help. Let's go back to a straight quarter note downstroke strumming pattern to get into this idea of the constant strumming technique. And I'm going to use just an E major chord because it's really easy. You can play all 6 strings. You don't have to worry about your strumming aim. If you don't want to do that, if you just want to focus purely on your strumming hand, you can just mute the strings and work on it that way. Anyway, do this with me. Play just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a straight quarter note downstroke strumming pattern. And I want you to notice something. I want you to think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And look at my arm. Every time I make a downstroke, I have to make an upstroke 2 to come prepare for the next downstroke. So 1, upstroke 2, upstroke 3, upstroke 4. So I'm left with this constant strumming motion, constant strumming technique, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm left with a constant motion. My arm is constantly going back and forth. My hand or my pick just isn't digging into the strings for the upstrokes. And that is the heart of the constant strumming technique. You're already doing this. You're keeping your arm going 1, 2, 3, 4, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, even though you aren't digging into the strings with those upstrokes. Okay, let's take this one step further. And you may be wondering, well, how does all this apply to being able to figure out your own strumming patterns and the strumming patterns in your favorite songs? We'll get to that. Let's just take this one step further so you can really let this sink in. Let's go to a straight 8th note strumming pattern using alternating down and up strokes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You need to be sure you're counting as you do this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And ideally, you need to be counting 8th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that'll give you the grid that you need to line up each one of the 8 notes in each measure for the strumming pattern. So give that a try without a metronome at first. Just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. And keep in mind the nice relaxed motion for your strumming. So once you're feeling good with that, get a metronome out and play along with it at 60 or 70 beats per minute. And your downstrokes are going to be the numbers or on the click. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And your upstrokes are going to be on the ands as you count. So 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and... Okay, the next logical level for our discovery of what the constant strumming technique is going to be to leave out all the ands of this 8-note strumming pattern that alternates between down and upstroke. So if instead of having 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and what you're going to do is leave out all the upstrokes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just don't dig into the strings. Does that feel familiar? It should. It's the exact same thing as we started out this lesson with just the quarter note, all downstrokes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just leaving out 1 and 2, the upstrokes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is the crux, the heart of the constant strumming technique. And it's kind of a long roundabout way to tell you this. When you have a constant 8-note strumming pattern going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, you can leave out any number, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or any and, to create a new strumming pattern. And I'll prove that to you right now. We're going to make a new strumming pattern based on the straight 8-note strumming pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The idea here is going to be to leave out every single upstroke or every single and except for the and that comes after 4. So we're just going to have a regular quarter note strumming pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. On that and, you're going to have an upstroke. You're going to actually dig in to the strings. And that's part of what the constant strumming technique is developing the ability to control your strumming hand to where you can either dig in or not dig into the strings for any given number or and. So again, 1 and 2 and 3 4, and dig in on that last and, the and of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and again for your upstrokes, be sure you don't have to dig into all 6 strings. I only hit the top 3 to 5. Keep a really light, relaxed grip on the pick so it doesn't get caught in the strings. And just stay relaxed overall. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. And you can do this with any and. You can leave out any and or add any and in to create a new strumming pattern. Let's do this with the metronome real quick, just to give you an idea of how it sounds to a steady beat. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and. Now the key here when you're doing this kind of stuff is to keep your arm going to that 8th note pulse. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And even if a particular downstroke or upstroke doesn't dig into the strings, you want this motion. You don't want this. Because it gets really jagged. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and, or 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and. It gets weird when you have your arm going constantly. It gives you this nice foundation to where you're really locking in with the groove of whatever you're playing. 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and syncing your arm and your body up to what's going on with the rhythm of the song. And anytime you want to hear a strum, you just let the pick dig into the string. So 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and you can start to develop the ability to dig in anytime you want. If you wanted to do 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the and for after the 3 and the and of the 4 as well. You could put it in for all the ands but the and of 1. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. You could put it on the and of just the 1. 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, 3, 4. But my arm is going the entire time without ever stopping, constantly. To help you develop this idea of the constant strumming technique, and let me just say that it does take some time to develop the coordination to be able to do this, I have what I call the constant strumming technique exercise for you. It's just think about a straight 8th note strumming pattern that uses all down and upstrokes. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. The idea here is to go through one measure where you leave out the downstroke on the 1. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. That's your first measure. So developing the ability to leave out that first down. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Even though my hand's still doing like this the entire time constantly, I'm just not digging into the strings on the 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and. The next measure, you leave out the and of 1, the upstroke on the and of 1. So you have 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. The next measure, leave out the down on 2, on beat 2. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Next, leave out the upstroke on the and of 2. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. My arm still kept going constantly. 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and. Next, you guessed it, leave out the downstroke on 3. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And I'm exaggerating that motion of coming out, and I'm not digging the pick into the strings on beat 3. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And that's what it would normally look like. It's a really subtle motion. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And. Next, leave out the and of 3, the upstroke. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And so on and so on. Leave out the downstroke on the 4, and then that upstroke on the and of 4. So that's the full exercise. It's only 8 measures long, but you have to stay really aware of where you are, which beat you're leaving out. Is there a downstroke or is it an upstroke? Is there a number or is it an and? And once you're ready and you have this basic coordination down, you probably want to do this without a metronome for a while because it's going to take a while to build a coordination to leave out a down or an up. So maybe take this one measure at a time, no metronome, just and concentrate on that and kind of loop it. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Then start over 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and. And once you're comfortable with that, you can put a metronome on and go through the whole thing. 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you're probably going to have to slow this exercise way down to build the coordination and brain pathways to be able to play through this and, instantly either leave a down or an up out. But this is the kind of coordination and dexterity and skill that you need to build to be able to make up your own strumming patterns on the spot that fit a song, and to hear a strumming pattern in a song and then be able to kind of translate it to the guitar. Here are your assignments for this lesson. Number 1, play the straight quarter note strumming pattern with all downstrokes. So just 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 2, play the straight 8th note strumming pattern with alternating down and upstrokes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Number 3, understand what the constant strumming technique is. All it is when you're keeping your arm going, even if you're not digging into the strings. Number 4, play the down, 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 up strumming pattern that we went over until you're really comfortable with just leaving out all of the upstrokes except for that last one on 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Number 5, start incorporating the constant strumming technique exercise, that long one that's 8 measures long, into your daily practice routine. You may only be able to do the first measure or 2 at first, but once you're comfortable with those 2, add another 2 measures. The important thing is, and this is the most critical thing, is that you always keep your arm moving to the steady beat. So if this is the numbers, downs are numbers, and your arm upstroke are the ands, you want to keep that going just like a metronome all the time, whether you're digging into the strings or not. That's the critical thing, and that's going to help you get through this constant strumming technique exercise to where all you have to really do is stay aware, okay, which number am I leaving out for the down, or which and am I leaving out for the up? I know this isn't the most exciting type of practice in the world, but it is going to help you when you get into learning more songs or trying to figure out songs for yourself. This is a key to doing it. This is going to build the coordination that you need. So now, if you're having really serious trouble with any of these individual areas, you can always go to natesavage.com and schedule a private lesson with me. The first one is complimentary, so there's no risk. So if you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to get back to you that way, or you can just email me, nate@natesavage.com. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.